Welcome to Wow If True, the podcast of your wildest memes. I'm your host, Isabel, and I am tragically alone in the studio today. And because of that, I am throwing out our normal script, and I am shoving in a different script. So, I lied. Today it's not Wow If True. Today, you are listening to Glassfall, Episode 1. The Dead Air, the Psychopomp, the White City, the Ghost.
The dead air sings. It crosses the metal grill of the radio. A strange sight compared to the room you're in. You're backdropped against a parlor done in gilt and glass, cut like the crystal my family pawned away in the lean years. We used to be wealthy, Isaac. You laughed when I told you I was nobility back at the academy. Me with my darned socks and second-hand books. You and your mercantile finery, the silks that your father trades in. It was your bright silk shirt that drew me to you that first day, the clear aquamarine of it, like you could wash me clean. It's your shirt that shocks me to awareness now, though I am caught in your audio net, the phosphorant white of it silhouetted against the open window. I scale through the dead air, jittery static cutting out, slowly clarifying my awareness of you against the dark drape of the city behind, the pinprick green gas lamps winking in the breeze. I drop the connection, startled, and the dead air drones again, and I am once again a fly caught in amber. I don't understand why you would do this to me. This is for a number of reasons. First, I am dead. Second, you are a Crest University psychopomp, not a two-bit alley necromancer. Third, you love me. Loved me? And I did not think you would be so cruel as to plunge the core of me from the White City and entangle it in the airwaves. Not even a revenant. Less than a ghost. I reverberate again. Try and tune myself into presence rather than hazy memory. I see your handsome face. I see the glow of the Imperial Palace behind you, the green and white lighting the night. Glassfall, I don't say, because I am pinned in the dead air like a moth at the Natural Histories Museum. But if I were standing by you, I would say it. Isaac, why are you in Glassfall? Glassfall, the green gas lamp city, the city closest to death, the city where the twin gods of luck and fate died in archaic tragedy, my hometown. You were Silent Coast born and bred, and Glassfall was only a story to you that I spoke about in pieces. I told you of the green gas lamps and the Imperial Palace that glows with unearthly light. I told you the official mythology of the late Empire, that the palace was made with calcified god's blood from the quarry where god Luck killed the devil Fate, or god Fate killed the devil Luck, creating the White City on the other side of death. Mythology, you said, not unkindly. I laughed at you. I didn't correct you, though I teased you for being such an unromantic psychopomp, such an unromantic lover. Not even humoring your boyfriend's talk of being of the divine lineage. Arrogant, Lacewing, Onyx, Selvine. It is so hard to believe in gods in the clean, bright sunlight of the Silent Coast. It is so hard to believe in death. Strange that I died there. Did you think that was strange, Isaac? You speak.
Hello? Emery?
And the reverberation of your voice across the dead air jerks me back.
Well, I guess it didn't work then. That is fine.
Your voice like a hook that the tattered filaments of my soul snag on. I coalesce. What didn't work, I try to say, but I can't remember the way my own voice used to sound when I was alive. That's the problem with ghosts. People aren't meant to stay on this side without a casing. There's nothing for me to anchor to. I didn't leave a tape behind, no staticky black roll of imprinted sound for my ghost to smear itself across and use to speak. So I borrow your voice. I carve your syllables through the static. It works. I wish I could say your name, but you haven't said your name, or any combination of syllables I could borrow. So I sing mine instead in your voice distorted by static. Emery, Emery.
Emery?
Your head snaps to stare at the radio. You stumble to your feet and grasp at its metal casing. I angle inwards. Up close, I can see the tired pall to your face, the dark smudges under your eyes. You've been working hard, or at least not sleeping. This is not how I remember you. How long has it been since I died? You don't look much older. You look sad. I don't remember you being sad. Were you sad when I was alive? Death in the White City slowly erases memories, like a river scouring away a stone, like the pieces of beach glass that we found on the Crest shoreline and kept in a bottle on the kitchen counter. I wouldn't know if I've forgotten your sadness. That should bother me. It should bother me, right? You place the radio carefully back on the sideboard.
Emery, are you there?
Emery, there. I pluck the words into reverberation with abject frustration. I wish you would say something more useful to me. I wish you would say something I could rearrange into the approximation of, Isaac, what the hell are you doing? What's going on? What did you do to me? I have my own suspicions, though my consciousness feels like oil shaken into water, colloidal, as if the stuff that makes me has been dissolved into the atmosphere like the salt in the sea. It's hard to think. I'm doing my best here, Isaac, really I am. You were the psychopomp, not me. I was happy in my little office doing... I can't remember the shape of it. Architecture? Literature? Philosophy? Something to the left of the humanities. I'm a little bit scared, or I would be scared if I could hold on to the emotion as more than an abstract concept. Scared, meaning triggering the biological fear response, meaning the jab of adrenaline chemically extruded in the flesh. I no longer have flesh. I barely have a mind, I think, if mind is memory. I am scared. I still do not want to die the second death of the dissolvent ghost.
Echoing phrases, syllabic reconstruction, audio. Why audio? There's no reason for you to be haunting audio.
You mumble under your breath, scrambling to paw through the notes that are on the sideboard. I float. I observe. You pace. You throw papers. They land on the carpet on the circle you've drawn in salt. Then footsteps, clattering against the floorboards. A head poked through the door, followed by a slim hand, a generous torso.
The police are here, Isaac. Jenny's stalling them, but you'd better get moving. Did it work?
Does it look like it worked, Annette?
You gesture at the circle, the distinct lack of my body. I remember how my body felt. The meat of it, the wet heft of it, the weight it had, the way there were always things moving in it. Blood and breath and digestion.
All right, dumb question. Listen, you've got about 3 minutes. Run out the back and I'll meet you with the automotive at Obelisk.
Hey, are all the street names here so morbid?
They are. Obelisk is the major road that bisects the city. I wonder what your plan is.
What are you talking about? Anyway, seriously, get out of here, young.
She says your name accented wrong. It's Yong, not Young. You haven't corrected her. You wouldn't. You're polite. If I were here, I would correct her for you. And then you'd be angry with me. You'd tell me that you choose your own battles. But Annette would want to be corrected. I remember Annette. Annette in her short skirts and knee socks when we were children. Annette in my trousers and a borrowed shirt when we were teens. We would sit on the balcony overlooking the city square and drink stolen wine, smoke stolen cigarettes. We would talk about the future. I would talk about foreign shores, about cities that weren't in perpetual twilight, lands where the white city was more than a single step away. I talked about Crest, which I had only seen in pictures. Annette would drink and lean against the balcony. She would say, "Send me some postcards, Emery," and I would remember to feel bad, because she couldn't leave, not like I could. She wasn't minor branch nobility from a disgraced house. Annette was Annette Salvine, firstborn daughter to the main Salvine line. She had responsibilities. She would be taking over the family import-export business. She would have a seat on the council. Soon she would have no time to sit on balconies with me. We both knew that. I sent her postcards from Crest. I haven't seen her in a decade. She looks good. She looks expensive. I didn't know you knew her. I wonder how you met her. I wonder what has happened since my death. You run around the room grabbing your supplies, sweeping up bone ash from the center of the Pentagon, stuffing scrolls and wax candles into your bag. You dash around like you're clearing a crime scene. The last thing you pick up is the radio. You hesitate before reaching for it.
If you're not cased in this, I'm going to feel really stupid.
I'm not, but I appreciate the sentiment. Being cased in it would be easier than whatever has happened to me. You grab the radio and stuff it in your bag. Then you run. Down the stairs, flashes of floral wallpaper, wooden railings, lamps swinging from ceilings, the muffled sound of strangers speaking. Annette's high laughter, Jenny's low voice cajoling. Friends I remember from another lifetime. You scramble through the hallways and then duck through a door into the servants' quarters. Cream paint, well-washed floors, something clanging in the kitchen. You dart through the halls and around people. "Sorry, excuse me, thank you." And then you're shoving through the back entrance, bursting into the rain-slicked streets. It's drizzling. The perpetual nighttime fog of the city hangs low, the gas lamps all green and flickering and miasmic. Water splashes as your feet hit the cobblestones. You're running again. Do you know where you're going, Isaac? You run like you do. A dead sprint down the rain-sodden streets. Your bag bounces against your hip. You run out of the alley lined with the backs of the grand houses to a wide avenue. The palace light is coming from the left, and I can hear music from somewhere, the sort of stuff that sounds like it might be from a concert hall. You must be in the Magnolia Quarter. You should take the next left here, Isaac, if you're going to Obelisk. That'll lead you through... Oh, you missed it. Your footsteps are a heavy thump at equidistant intervals, like a heartbeat or a drum. It's close enough to music that I can hang on to it, let the world in front of us coalesce into a clearer picture, coalesce my mind into something that works for thought, not just perception. A ghost is a soul trapped in a casing. A ghost haunts a place, a body, an object that exists in the physical. A ghost is a memory, a soul that never made it across to the White City, or a soul that somehow slipped through a crack in the worlds to return to a home that is no longer a home. A ghost can be made a revenant through necromancy. A revenant is a ghost in a corporeal body, which is made from expurgated bone and black magic pulled from the White City by the necromancer. The White City is where all dead things in Glassfall drain to. The White City is the city on the other side of death. It is blinding light. It is the absence of all memory. It is fate or luck's court in the middle of the desert. It is a beacon. It is a shield. I can no longer remember precisely how it felt, what it is. The White City only exists within itself. But I was there. I can't remember. Your breathing is heavy. You're getting tired. You've run through the wide avenues, ducked down alleys, and I think you're taking a meandering route because you think it'll throw the police off. In the distance, I hear klaxons. The police are looking for you. Necromancy is illegal in Glassfall, really legal, 30 years in Ironwood illegal. There are good reasons for it, too. We're too close to the White City for it to be safe. Why would you come here to bring me back? And why did you fail? You're a professional, Isaac. You should have brought me back clean. What am I now? I'm not a revenant. I am not a ghost. A ghost would be tethered to an object and would be able to interact with the physical world through it. I am tethered to nothing, and I can interact only through regurgitated sound, like I am only halfway here. Necromancers and psychopomps speak of the space between the world and the White City. They call it the in-between, the Shadowland, the mirror gaze, the entropic bridge, the radio. I think that's where I am. You stop running. You're gasping now. Isaac, this is idiotic. You're not going to outrun the entirety of a police squad. You've stopped at the corner of 2 streets. I don't recognize them. That's not a surprise. Glassfall's a big city. But the light from the palace is to your west, so you must be at the edge of the Magnolia Quarter, near Ginkgo, where the shops are, squashed against the alchemist district and the automata workshops. A whole dense warren to get lost in, bordered by a major road on the other side. The klaxons are quieter now, drowned by the noise of the foot traffic. You stop running. You fall into easy step with the rest of the crowd. You turn your collar up. You adjust your bag so it's not so obvious what's in it. You meander across the road with the chattering crowd and wind into the narrow streets of Ginkgo. There are people sitting at cafes, people going into small shops, people playing cards outside of bars. You ignore it all, but slow your walk into an easy saunter. This is the sort of place we'd spend time together, wasn't it? Date nights. I liked this sort of thing more than you did, I think. I liked life. You would have been happy with a quiet night in, or apartment. And then a loud crash, a scream, a break in the audioscape. Here is the noise like velvet tearing. Here is the afterimage of a rip in the world. Here is the wall breaking, and I feel as if a great crowd is passing by me, shoulder to shoulder, jostling me as they climb through the rip, which is already knitting itself together. And I try to step forward, but I can't. There is the feeling of something large and scaled brushing past. Oh, that's right. It's not just ghosts on the other side. Rippling across the street, the dark shadow of a monstrous serpent encroaches, ink black, cast by no physical form. It carves across the cobblestones, hunting, fast-moving, ready to mindlessly destroy. The gas lamps flare. You stumble. You hadn't left with the crowd. Why would you, after all? This is what you trained for. You drop your bag on the ground and you run. A psychopomp is a guide across the in-between. A psychopomp is a guard against everything that wants to come back. The shadow grows a thing like a shark's fin, glittering black scales, the shadow turning to form. You pull your gun out of your holster, and then there's 2 glowing shots rippling across the black. Salt crystals fly, a knot sound like an inverted scream. A ripple across the black. The shadow dissipates, reshaping into a smaller snake, this time zeroing in on you. You scramble back, reloading your weapon. You fire off another 2 shots, straight across where the shadow's spine would be. It tears through the black. The edges of the shadow curl in on itself. And then it's gone. The street you're standing in is carved through with deep trenches where the shadow had been. The trenches are filled with white sand. There's no trace of the tear and reality it came through. The street is silent for a long moment. Then the klaxons start. Not for you this time, but they would be for you if they knew you were here. The crowd is gone now, or beyond my awareness. You're reholstering your gun now with trembling hands. You always hated this part. That's why you went into academia. You walk over to your bag and re-shoulder it quickly. You shove your holster deep underneath your jacket and let the bag fall over it to hide the shape. Then you run. Again. Through the maze of streets, the abandoned bars and shops, then to the stores and workshops where people are huddled in front of and inside. I hear snatches of conversation. A shadow blitzed through Ravencliff Street. I saw the shadow. Is that the psychopomp that was... You rush forward. The storefronts turn from restaurants to shops to automata workshops, alchemical labs, beakers and bottles behind smoky glass. Here, the scientists are all hurriedly packing their work up. Shadows and ghosts, not a good mix with glass and chemicals. You rush past them. The klaxons are loud behind you. They aren't for you, until they will be. Then through the alchemical district where Ginkgo turns to mulberry. You've run across a full quarter of the city tonight. I can barely see the glow of the Imperial Palace. Then finally out into the open, a wide street. You lean against a lamp post. You look exhausted. I can hear the roar of the automotives, Obelisk Way, which bisects the city across the river, the major road out of Glassfall. Oh, of course. You're leaving. Are you going home, Isaac? And I wonder again, how long has it been since my death? We lived in an apartment overlooking the sea, near the university. It was quiet there, and bright. The apartment faced east. I remember sunrises. Do you still live there? You move your bag over so you can open it. You pull out the radio and cup it in your hands.
Emery?
You still aren't saying anything useful for me.
Okay. That was too much to hope for, I guess.
I put you out of your misery.
I guess.
I echo back through the radio.
I guess.
I guess. You nearly dropped the device.
So it worked. Wait. Yes or no, did it work?
I don't know how to answer that. I vibrate the reverberation across.
Yes, no. Yes, no. So it worked, but something went wrong?
Yes. You take a deep breath.
Okay. I'm going to figure this out, and then I'm going to fix it. Just stay with me, love.
Oh, you missed me. I think I must have missed you too. Love, I'm staying. Oh, don't cry, Isaac. You'll look so suspicious if you cry. You rub a hand over your face. You shove the radio back in your bag. That's no way to treat your electronics.
I really hope Annette shows up soon. We knew the timing was going to be tight, but I really wasn't expecting to have to deal with a shadow attack.
We wait together. The roar of the automotives drowns out any klaxons. I hope you have enough time. I drift. A gunmetal gray automotive comes swerving up to the curb, and the window rolls down to reveal Annette beckoning you over. She's grinning, like a chase from the police is all a game for her. You rush over and tumble into the back seat, the bag falling into the space beside you. Annette hits the gas before you can say anything, and your head is knocked against the headrest. He needs his head, Annette. Don't give him a concussion. He uses that thing. Annette drives through traffic, veering around carriages and automotives, nearly running over pedestrians.
So, was the explosion in Ginkgo you?
Okay, that definitely wasn't my fault. Wait. How do you know about that?
Annette gestures to a police radio sitting on the dashboard, encased in burgundy enamel. I wonder where she got this. I suppose Lady Annette Selvine has her sources. She flicks the scanner on, a staticky burst of noise, and then the chatter of all the police units in the city coordinating with one another.
There's been 16 shadow sightings in Glassfall in the last hour.
She glances back at you.
I think we've really fucked up, Isaac.
16 shadow sightings. That means 16 streets carved up, and most places wouldn't have a psychopomp on the scene. You sag against the seat.
Shit.
I echo the sentiment through the police scanner.
Shit.
Annette jumps, nearly swerves into the other lane.
I thought you said it didn't work.
It didn't work, I echo back.
It didn't work. Not what I meant to do, anyway. I performed the ritual for raising a revenant, Annette, just like we discussed, and if he were a ghost, if it had failed, then he'd still be using his own voice. I had a roll with his voice in my portable, but he's been possessing your radio instead, and I kind of thought he was cased in that, but now he's talking through the police scanner, and he shouldn't be able to do that.
That's news. I didn't know you taped me, Isaac.
Are you sure it's Emery?
Yes, I'm sure.
You liar.
So he's really dead then. I had hoped.
That it was just a disappearance. Me too.
The ritual for raising revenants wouldn't have worked at all if I were alive, so you performed it to confirm my death. So you didn't know I was dead, so you probably came to my hometown to look for me. Did you think I had left you? The memory of my death is hazy. I died in my office. I died scared. I died looking at the square of dark velvet night through my window. They must have moved my body. I'm sorry, I think, that you were worried.
Well, I suppose that's some closure at least. What are you going to do now?
Go home, I suppose, since I don't think it would be wise to stick around here for longer. I want to try and figure out what went wrong, try and fix it. I really appreciate all the help, Annette.
Oh, what are friends for? And what are friends except your partner's best childhood friend who he hadn't come and visited in years before he went and died?
Sorry, Annette. The city streams past, green streaks of light from the street lamps, yellow glimmering from automotives. I can see smoke in the distance. 16 other shadow attacks. That's an insane amount for one day. I think there's like 3 or 4 a year in Crest. The automotives and carriages around us slow. The streaks of light turn to globes. Something's wrong.
What's happening?
You lean forward to look through the windshield.
Shit.
There's a police blockade set up at the end of Obsidian. Wooden beams. Police automotives with their klaxons silenced. Officers in black. They're checking automotives before they leave. Glassfall is suspicious of outsiders, but if the police have set up a silent checkpoint, then things must be really bad. Isaac, what did you do?
I can't turn the automotive in this. You'll have to run for it. Well, walk. Keep your head down and hopefully you won't be spotted. Leave your bag.
You nod. You take a deep breath. You leave your bag in the back seat, but open a side pocket to pull out a small, battered brass portable tape player. I recognize that one. It's the one from our apartment. The one I gave you when we just started dating. You stick that in your pocket, then you get out and start walking. I follow. It's loud outside. The sound of dozens of automotive engines running, horses' hooves stomping, the yelling of an officer with a megaphone. You walk quietly between the automotives across the broad expanse of the highway. You receive a few second glances, but you aren't the only person who's chosen to walk out to get around the blockade. You're almost across. I think we're getting away with it. I don't know where you're going, but it feels like getting caught in a waterfall. The moment in the shower when the water hits your face, like being carried by the crowd. The shadow bursts through in a dark wash of black smeared across the automotives. Everything fragments. A shadow isn't just a monster, after all. It's a piece of the world across the White City, rendered in negative onto our own. The shadow is a scrambling mass of limbs. Horses scream. People scream. The shadow screams, and the shockwave of it cracks windows. Oh wow. Only the really powerful ones have voices. You could get out in the chaos, Isaac. You could run. The police have bigger problems right here in front of them. This is the best opportunity you're going to get. 30 years in Ironwood, Isaac. You don't do that, though. You turn on your heel before I can say anything. You draw your gun and you shoot. The bullets rend across the black. 2 holes in the shadow that are rapidly filled with black ink, causing only a faint ripple in its presence. This one's big. This one's not a one-man job, but it's zeroing in on you. You're the target now. The shadow swirls like the wind arrows in on you, and I can see the outline of the monster opening its maw. This is bad news. This is the nightmare scenario. Its scream just destroyed 3 automotives, and you, my darling, are made of nothing so precious as meat and bone. But I am nothing. I am audio. I am the last remnants of Emery Arrogant's conscious mind trapped in the in-between. I have no body. I have no voice. I can only borrow sound. The shadow begins to scream, and I play it back immediately. Hopefully that was enough. I'm shattered. I'm together again, mostly. Enough to perceive our surroundings. I guess whatever you did tethered us together, Isaac. The light around you is dim. There are no windows. You're sitting in an office at a police station, if the nameplate reading Commissioner S. Yarrow means anything. You're still in Glassfall. The office is clinical, neat. There's a calendar hanging from the wall. If it's correct, it's fall now. I died in the spring. It's been 5 months. You run a hand through your hair. Your other hand is awkwardly pressed against the chair. Oh, there's a gleaming silver cord around your wrist. You're handcuffed to the chair. If you looked exhausted before, now you're dead on your feet. Well, not as dead as I am. I don't have much time to grasp my surroundings before there's the creak of a door opening. You lift your head. You look determined.
I told you I won't talk without my lawyer, and I want my telephone call.
Oh no, Dr. Young, we're not arresting you.
The stranger walking in has the same posture as a hunting fox. She's wearing a black trench coat. She looks utterly at ease, except she's covered in white dust, like she's been at the sites of the shadow explosions.
In my opinion, we should, but we aren't. Good news, Dr. Young. We're prepared to offer you a deal.
You don't say anything. You stare at her. It's a stare that speaks volumes. The stranger sits at the desk. So this is Commissioner Yarrow, then. She takes a silver cigarette case out of her coat. She pulls out a slim cigarette and lights it with green fire from the flick of a brass lighter. She offers you the case. You used to smoke. You don't now. Oh, you're taking one. When did you start? She takes a long drag and sighs. Her cigarette smoke blooms in ribbons through the air.
The boys back in the labs are saying that whatever you and Lady Selvine pulled destabilized the entropic bridge between Glassfall and the White City, which I'm sure you know, considering your studies into the mirror gaze, Professor Young. They're saying that there are going to be aftershocks, more shadow attacks, unless the entropic bridge is restabilized. And who knows what else will be coming through. They're saying that they have no idea how you did this.
She leans forward. She looks perfectly calm. There's a spray of sand crusted to her forehead.
This puts you in a wonderful position, Dr. Young. You're too valuable to lock up in Ironwood. Considering the magnitude of the issue, considering that Glassfall is the lock on the gate between the world and death. Which you would know, Dr. Young. Considering your profession and your research.
You still don't say anything. You hold the unlit cigarette in your free hand and stare at her. I wonder what you're thinking. You were always the cautious one out of the two of us. You liked the guiding part of being a psychopomp, the athletic part, the dispelations, not the wardings. Yarrow ignores your silence. She blows a ring of smoke.
And of course Lady Selvine is backing you, so on behalf of the 4 families, the council, and the empty throne, the city of Glassfall is prepared to offer you a deal. You won't be allowed to leave the city until this all blows over. But fix whatever you did, and we'll drop all charges. Otherwise, I'll get you that lawyer.
She smiles grimly and holds the open lighter out towards you.
Do we have a deal?
I wonder what you're thinking. I don't know whether you should take this deal. I don't know whether you have other options. I don't think you do. I think you might be at the end of your rope. Not just because you're sitting in the police station across from the commissioner, because you're in Glassfall at all, because you tried to bring me back, because you look tired and sad, and I don't know what's happened to you. I want to shake you and ask Isaac what happened in the 5 months since I died. I want to cup your head in my hands and tell you it's all going to be all right. Maybe I didn't know you as well as I thought I did. The man I remember wouldn't have attempted necromancy. The man I remember wouldn't have gotten arrested. But the man I remember would have done the same thing you did when confronted with the shadow attacks. He would have stopped to try and fix everything. Commissioner Yarrow hasn't dropped her hand. The green fire dances on the brass lighter. You take a deep breath, you open your mouth and say,
Fine.
And lift your cigarette to the flame.
Glassfall is a Wild True production, written, directed, and produced by Isabel J. Kim. The voice of Emery is Andromeda, the voice of Isaac is Isabel, the voice of Annette is Bee, and the voice of Commissioner Yarrow is Quest. The intro and outro music is composed by Jock, and you can find us on Twitter as, I don't know, you just have to @ Isabel J. Kim, you just @ me, there's no Twitter for this, and more generally by, I don't know, bothering Isabel in the Discord. And if you like this episode, tell a friend, I guess. Honestly, don't tell a friend, this is not a good one to tell a friend about. Tell me that you liked it, I'll write more of it if you liked it. Either way, word of mouth is how we grow. And thank you to all of our patrons, and shout out specifically to Zoe, Brea, Andromeda, Thea, Brian, Gabriel, Lada, Matt, Max, my sugar daddy Sam, and Aaron's husband. If you want your name in the above or on our Twitter header, slide right into our Patreon at patreon.com/wildtrue. And shout out to audio editors Allison Mills and David Newtown, graphic designer and Canva Warlock, Eric Silver, who made our logo, Sam Reiser, who made our podcast music, and Tessa Farah, who is transcribing our episodes. You can find us on Twitter at @WildTruePod and Instagram and Facebook as @WildTrue. Had your 15 seconds of internet fame? Slide right into our Twitter DMs and tell us about it. And until next time, let's get weird on the internet.